Hey, welcome to Battle Talk. I am Don, and this is my sportsing show. And I'm not talking about specifically the Battlehawks today. I'm talking about the UFL and market strength in general. I'm going to go in order of worst team to best team. So we'll start with the Aviators and we will end with the Kings. All right, what's the market like for the Aviators? Based on what information that I know, not insider information whatsoever, and I did not go to these markets to look myself. All right, well, let's start with the worst team, not necessarily the worst market, but the worst team, the Aviators. Not bad for a 3-7 team. That was a relocated team in a new market. They didn't have the support, even at the beginning, that a first half losing team did in Louisville. Okay? But the market overall showed up quite a bit and showed promise. The prognosis for Columbus is mostly positive. All right, let's go on to the second worst team in the league, the Renegades. This team has moved from one place to another seemingly a lot for a team that hasn't been actively relocated. And that probably feels worrisome to the fan base. The Arlington Dallas. The team has a championship DNA in it. If oddly so, it was an odd championship with its remarkable XFL 2023 title, going from a losing record to the top in the postseason. Some don't like that happened, but I think that was kind of cool and a very positive thing for the end of that XFL season. Prognosis for the Renegades. If they stay where they are and hold on to Reed as he improves, the outlook for that market can be good. All right, so we've done the Aviators and the Renegades. Let's go to the third worst team this last season, not historically, in the UFL, and that would be the Stallions. History and ratings are something that helps this team out in their market strength overall. Often the number one market historically on TV, the 3-time champions had to rebuild like no other existing market, and it was under attack the entire time. Yet it's come from its passionate fan base. There are passionate members of the fan base. With a lack of antagonistic support, I see a good outlook. In other words, instead of just tearing down the fan base and tearing down the team and trying to uplift the team by giving backhanded compliments to him, Rapoli, I think that if they're treated better, they will do better and the outlook will be good. But if they're treated as they have been, the prognosis will be weak. I don't think it has to be that way. I think that if this team and market is actually nurtured and not sarcastically handled, that they stand to do very well. in the future. All right, the next worst team, up or the next best team. Actually, we're getting into the good, right? We're going to pass the bottom half here in a second. Let's see what the market is like and the prognosis is for the gamblers. Now, the gamblers slash roughnecks, but now the gamblers, are a market with an identity crisis from one day to the next, right? When the XFL, USFL merged, they divided the four teams from each league into two divisions. The Stallions, Panthers, Showboats, and Gamblers were chosen as the USFL division, as those units were chosen. They would make up the division. It was decided that the Roughneck name was more favorable to the market, and maybe it was. Yet they didn't even change the name on X to USFL Roughnecks or the like. I saw from afar that it fostered confusion when they were rebranded. It only caused more. So taking them from the Gamblers, merging the USFL with the XFL, and then decided to call this USFL division team the Roughnecks, but not really change the branding on X or anything like that, and then rebrand it back to the Gamblers. I imagine that's not good for market growth. This team gets less respect in relocation talk, honestly, than even the Stallions, at least from the fan base. Prognosis, if they stay the course and stop screwing with the brand, it might improve. So there you go. That's the Gamblers. Now, let's look at another new or relocated team, the Storm. Now, the Storm is the fourth best team in the league at the end of the season. At the end of the season, after playoffs and everything. Take the regular season and the playoffs and put them together and divide by Taco, the Storm. Number 4. Now, with the Storm, I expected more from the market for such a good team. Honestly, I did. The coming and going of teams takes time to heal, right? And there have been at least the Guardians and the Vipers and the Bandits and Bulls and a team called the Renegades as well in that area. So hopefully, with being one of the top 4 teams in the USFL in 2026 and staying the course with that team and continuing to build that team and that team's fan base, if the UFL does continue to build these teams' fan bases and not run on inertia, I believe the prognosis is the market will heal with consistency and continue to grow. All right, so let's go to the third best team in the league overall, regular season and playoffs together, the St. Louis Battlehawks, my team. All right, here we go. Battlehawks are the attendance champs every year so far, and I have no problem saying that. It's not a backhanded compliment as far as I'm concerned. It's a legit thing. The regular season winners in the 25 season and playoff team in the 24th, 25th, and 26th year season. A very passionate fan base. While not winning playoff games has hurt them, the lack of supporting marketing and, believe it or not, awareness has hurt the team market-wise more than not winning playoff games. I personally think action will be taken, but we shall see. Despite being number one in attendance, I think this team has the most potential for growth. Prognosis is good to great with an in-market push. A push that can pay huge dividends for the Battlehawks and the St. Louis UFL market. The second best team in the league, if you do that regular season, postseason divided by tacos thing, would be the Defenders. So let's talk about their market. The Defenders, despite a championship and a good run, 4-1 this last season in 2026, there were still less butts in the seats. I don't know what ails the market like I do with STL, but they showed up for the United Bowl with help, granted, from the rest of the league and the fans that went to the game. The prognosis for DC, though, after winning a championship and being runners-up the next year, if the DC unit is taking things as seriously as I have a reason to believe the Battlehawks are, the prognosis for DC is good. All right, now the final market I want to talk about would be the Kings. Now, the Kings are the number one team in the UFL based on the fact that they won the championship. Okay? For a new market, they were strong even when they had a losing record. All right? They traveled well to St. Louis for the playoffs and to DC for the championship. If this market is nurtured, the prognosis is great. But if it's all inertia, similar to what happened in DC and St. Louis now, right? Then we're looking at that team not growing, but shrinking in attendance, despite the championship. But if they nurture it, then, man, the prognosis for that market is great. Look, I'm pretty consistent here with what I've said in the past and what I'm saying now. Every market has potential, every single one of the markets. I hope they all remain and grow in 2027. And we see Oklahoma City and hopefully the return of Michigan in 2028. At least that's my hope. My off-season attendance breakdown may tell a different story based solely on those numbers. I don't know. I'm still in the process of putting it together. But that story is not written yet. So this has been Battle Talk. I have been Don. This has been my sports show dealing with the market strength and prognosis in all of the current UFL markets. I will see you next time.